Welcome, curious minds. Today, we're not just exploring facts, we're embarking on a journey into the heart of some real-life chilling narratives. Prepare yourselves for a collection of genuinely frightening accounts. These are stories that really delve into the unsettling corners of human experience, and they remind us that danger can often lurk where we least expect it.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating here, I think, is how these encounters, though they're all unique, they often reveal these common threads in, well, human behavior. The subtle cues, the escalating threats, and the profound psychological impact they leave behind. We'll examine how ordinary situations can rapidly morph into these harrowing ordeals.
Okay, let's dive in. We begin with a story that reminds us that sometimes the greatest danger can come from within your own family. It's quite disturbing. Imagine being just 6 years old, shown a picture of your mother's sister and given this stark instruction. If she tries to talk to you, run.
Wow, straight away.
Yeah. The narrator, as a child, was unaware of this aunt. She was 20 years older than their mom and apparently suffered from untreated mental health disorders. Their parents explicitly warned them to treat her as a stranger because she was dangerous.
And that highlights the crucial instinct of a parent, doesn't it? Recognizing danger. Even when a child might be confused by, a familiar face, that warning is vital.
Definitely. So a year later, they're at a cousin's basketball game. The aunt approaches the narrator and their brother at a snack stand. She offers them ice cream, falsely claiming their mother had approved despite that earlier warning.
Using that false permission, that's manipulative.
Right. And when the narrator's brother refused, the aunt just grabbed the narrator's wrist, attempting to drag both children towards the exit.
Physical escalation, that's a huge red flag.
Terrifying. The narrator's mother sprinted across the court screaming for help, and the aunt was apprehended. She was charged with attempted kidnapping, and restraining orders were put in place.
Thank goodness the mother saw it happening. That immediate action was critical.
But here's the truly dark revelation. It came out years later. The parents had given that warning because the aunt was actively blackmailing them.
Blackmailing them?
How? Threatening to, and this is a quote, take care of the children if the parents stopped paying her bills.
Oh, that's just horrifying. Leveraging the children like that.
And get this, the basketball game abduction attempt. It happened precisely when the parents had started involving a lawyer to counter the blackmail.
Wow. The calculation there, it's not just desperation, it's timed, malicious intent.
Exactly. It raises that awful question. How do you protect your family when a deeply personal relationship becomes a weapon used against you?
A very difficult situation. No easy answers there.
Okay, let's shift gears. Next, we step into the eerie quiet of a night shift, where solitude turns into a chilling vulnerability. Our next narrator, Jill, she was in her early 20s, worked alone in this dimly lit call center.
Isolated, that's often where these things start.
Yeah, she worked 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., usually the only operator on her floor. Just a security guard making infrequent rounds in an otherwise empty building. Then, strange calls began around 2 a.m. A man would repeat her name, hang up, then call back, breathing heavily.
Just breathing.
Yeah.
Creepy, yeah.
Insisting she talk to him, promising not to hurt her. This went on for months, eventually from restricted numbers, so she had to answer.
That constant harassment must have been incredibly stressful.
She told her boss, but he just dismissed her concerns, laughed them off, actually. Assured Jill she was perfectly safe because he was only a voice on the line.
Ugh. It's just alarming. How often harassment like this, especially when it's not, overtly physical, is trivialized or dismissed. It leaves the victim feeling completely unsupported.
Totally. But the creepiest realization came from a subtle pattern. The caller never rang on her days off or when she switched shifts.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He knew her schedule. He had to be someone who could see her.
Someone inside the building.
Exactly. And the terrifying confrontation happened when the night security guard, this large man she barely knew, approached Jill outside the building one day. He informed her he'd been fired.
Okay.
And then he added, chillingly, that he was never gonna hurt me, effectively confirming he was the caller.
He admitted it, just like that. That phrase, I was never gonna hurt you, it's such a common, self-serving thing perpetrators say after they're caught. But it's also a deep sense of betrayal, isn't it? When a figure meant to ensure safety becomes the source of terror.
Absolutely. Jill later learned he was fired for harassing other women, even cornering someone in an elevator.
So there was a pattern.
A clear pattern. And when Jill tried to get the call recordings as evidence, she was told that, due to budget cuts, night shift calls were never recorded.
Unbelievable, the systemic failure there. Leaving her completely without recourse, even with his admission, it highlights how institutions can fail to protect people.
It's infuriating. Okay, next story. Imagine being 20 years old, enjoying a solo road trip, feeling the freedom of the open road, only to have that sense of security shattered by a deeply unsettling encounter at a seemingly ordinary rest stop.
Rest stops can feel isolated, yeah. Vulnerable places sometimes.
So this was July 2006. The narrator, who apparently looked young for her age, stopped at a rest stop on I-78 in Pennsylvania. A man, late 30s, early 40s, stocky with this intense gaze and crazy energy, approached her outside the mini-mart.
That crazy energy description.
Yeah.
People often sense something's off, even if they can't pinpoint it.
Right. He stood too close, asked personal questions, invited her to mini-golf for a movie.
Way too familiar, too fast, testing boundaries.
She declined, obviously, and walked away. But then he aggressively screamed, "You're gorgeous!" Really loud.
Aggressive compliments. That's not flattery. That's intimidation. Another tactic.
Inside the store, he just stared at her. She had to hide in the bathroom and text a friend. She was so freaked out. Thinking she was safe, she got back in her car, only to hear persistent honking.
Oh, you waited.
He waited. He was on a parallel dirt road in his black pickup truck, shouting and waving. He'd clearly waited for her.
That's terrifying. The encounter didn't end. He deliberately continued it. That's pursuit.
She sped away, extremely scared, and he followed her for several tense exits before he finally pulled off.
What a relief he finally stopped. But the fear must have lingered for ages.
For years. And here's the chilling twist. Years later, in 2014, she's talking about it with a friend who's into serial killers. They Googled active ones in Pennsylvania around that time. The first hit, Adam Leroy Lane.
No.
Yes. His description, 40s, tall, stocky, brown hair, mustache goatee, and the timing convicted of murdering women in 2007, just a year after her encounter, it matched almost exactly with the man she met.
Wow. That's bone-chilling. To realize years later you might have had a near miss with a serial killer. It just reinforces how important it is to trust that gut feeling, that sense of danger, even in seemingly brief encounters.
Absolutely. Trust your instincts. Okay. From the open road to what should be a safe space, a school playground. Our next story uncovers a childhood friendship that curdled into this relentless, terrifying obsession. It cast a long shadow right into adulthood.
These early experiences can be incredibly formative, sadly.
Yeah. So, as a shy 9-year-old in 4th grade, the narrator used to read alone at recess, hidden behind a bush. One day, she heard rustling, heavy breathing, and then a tug on her pigtails. She turned to see a boy hunched in the bush, reaching for her hair. She screamed and ran.
That's incredibly violating, even at that age. Sneaking up, touching someone.
Later that year, she befriended a boy named Matt. He was an outcast, like her, but he was overly clingy, constantly finding excuses to touch her. She kind of ignored it because, well, she didn't have any other friends.
That's often how it happens, isn't it? Tolerating boundary crossing because of loneliness or social pressure. But those early signs are so important.
Then Matt confessed he liked her. That night, he called her home phone, and he said truly disturbing things like, "What do you want to name our kids? And I bet he look really cute when you're asleep."
Whoa, okay, that's not a crush. That's deeply disturbing, possessive language. Major red flags.
Right. A year later, she switched schools, got her first phone. Soon after, an unknown number called. It was Matt.
He found her.
Yep. "Hey, baby, I miss you so much. Why did you leave me?" He'd gotten her new number from a mutual friend who didn't know better.
That persistence, despite the distance, despite the rejection, it just screams obsession.
Blocking his number did nothing. He called weekly from different phones, leaving multiple messages each time. The really horrific realization came in high school. The narrator learned Matt had been expelled.
For what?
For smelling and touching girls' hair, groping female students, trying to sneak into the girls' locker room, and writing extremely explicit stuff.
Oh my God.
And the connection hit her like a semi-truck. The boy hiding in the bush, reaching for her hair back in 4th grade. That was Matt.
Wow. So those early creepy incidents weren't isolated. They were the beginning of a clear, escalating pattern of predatory behavior. Chilling how it all connects.
It really is. Now, our next tale pulls us into a world of deception and a chilling escalation of obsession. It starts innocently enough in a club, but it culminates in a truly shocking act of violence far away.
Okay.
The narrator and her best friend meet this guy, Jesse. He claims to be Russian, new to the city, has this whole sob story about a dead wife and a 1-year-old son. The narrator felt wary immediately. Something seemed off, but Jesse managed to get her friend's number.
That immediate sob story is a classic manipulation tactic. Plays on sympathy to lower defenses quickly.
Yeah.
The narrator's instinct was right on.
Jesse later called, asking for a ride home, and during the ride kept laying on the sob story, which the narrator's friend totally bought into. He became increasingly fixated on the friend, tried inviting himself over, even showed them a supposed birth certificate for this son they'd never seen.
Overcompensating, yeah. Trying too hard to sell the lie.
Exactly. Then the friend started dating someone else. Jesse became furiously possessive, forced her to choose between them. She chose the other guy.
And Jesse was furious, right? That possessiveness is a huge danger sign.
Totally furious. The next day, he blew up her phone texts, calls, increasingly violent voicemails full of curses. The final voicemail revealed everything. No son or wife. He called them idiots and threatened, quote, she'd regret it and he will make her explode.
Make her explode, that's incredibly violent language, even as a threat.
Terrifyingly so. The friend blocked him, they moved on. Years later, the narrator reconnects with her friend and hears the horrific truth.
What happened?
Jesse was arrested for murder while trying to flee the country. The news article had his photo with a different, very Russian name and detailed how he had murdered his ex-girlfriend by shooting her 5 times.
Oh my God, he followed through on that kind of violence. That threat about her exploding takes on a whole new horrifying meaning in retrospect.
Yeah.
It's a stark reminder that charming or vulnerable facades can hide truly violent intentions.
Absolutely chilling. Okay, now let's turn to a story that subtly blurs the lines between acceptable and inappropriate, especially with power dynamics in a school setting. A 15-year-old narrator, shy, loved animals, was initially thrilled when her new PE teacher seemed interested in her hobbies, letting her talk his ear off during walks. He'd sometimes touch her long hair. She didn't question it at the time.
That desire for adult validation, especially from a teacher, can make it hard for a young person to recognize when boundaries are being crossed, especially if it's subtle at first.
During field hockey games, the teacher would help her team, often the losing one, by startling girls with his hockey stick, tapping their butts to steal the ball. Other girls thought it was gross and wrong, but the narrator initially just thought he was helping her team win.
See, the other girls recognized it immediately. Her perspective was skewed by that perceived favoritism or attention. It shows how grooming can manipulate perception.
But the behavior escalated. He stopped using the stick and started using his hand to pinch girls' butts.
Okay, that's undeniable physical contact. No ambiguity there.
That was the moment the narrator finally realized he really shouldn't be doing that. Soon after, he was fired. Presumably, another student reported him.
It often takes that escalation, or someone else speaking up, for the reality to fully hit. And that delayed realization is common.
And the aftermath is telling. The narrator admitted she was so upset when he wasn't there anymore. Looking back, she felt disgusting for feeling that way.
That's the psychological impact, isn't it? The confusion, the misplaced loyalty, the subsequent shame.
Yeah.
It's complex and painful. It shows how deeply these encounters affect victims long after they're over.
It really does. Okay, next. Imagine pursuing a passion like drama class, only to become the unwilling focus of a chillingly persistent obsession. At 12, the narrator joined drama class, immediately felt uncomfortable around an older boy, X. He was large, put on a fake Russian accent, pretended to chuck people in skits. Just off.
That immediate discomfort, again, trusting your gut, the fake accent, the play-acting violence, odd behaviors.
X took a particular interest in her, often following her around during exercises, even when she tried to avoid him. Her mother dismissed it as just a crush.
There it is again. The dismissal by an adult, failing to see the potential danger in obsessive attention, even at a young age.
As years pass, it got worse. He'd always sit or stand as close as possible. Later, her mom dropped her off early, and X started arriving even earlier, just waiting for her car, holding the door.
Engineering proximity, that's deliberate stalking behavior.
She was forced to wait alone with him weekly for at least 15 minutes, growing more and more afraid, especially of his angry outbursts. It culminated when he tried to ask her out. She rejected him gently, but after that, he became utterly terrifying.
How so?
Shoving himself between her and friends, standing directly behind anyone she spoke to, just watching her. Silent intimidation.
That's pure psychological warfare. Intense physical intimidation without necessarily touching her, making her feel constantly watched and unsafe. Textbook stalking.
The most frightening moment. After their drama exam, he followed her directly to the train station. She had to sprint and hide in the girls' bathroom for half an hour.
Terrifying. That direct pursuit after the final exam.
She finally gathered the courage and told her drama teacher. The teacher called X's mother, who was apparently horrified. The mother already knew about his behavior, was waiting to confront him because he lied about having group lunch plans.
So the mother knew something was wrong.
Seems like it. An intervention was held. X's mother apologized, thanked the narrator for not calling the police since X was legally an adult. And X, he was still delusional, called her the most stunningly beautiful girl he'd ever met, genuinely believing he could get her to break up with her boyfriend.
Wow. Complete lack of insight into his own behavior or its impact. And it raises that question again. Why wait until it escalates so dangerously? The mother knew, maybe others suspected, that collective delay is a real problem.
A huge problem. Now, a story of profound vulnerability in a professional setting. A young autistic IT worker trapped in escalating harassment with little support.
This adds another layer of vulnerability. Autism can make social interactions and unwanted physical contact even more distressing.
The narrator, early 20s, autistic, shy, uncomfortable with social interaction and touch, worked IT for a hospital. She was assigned to set up a computer for Andrew, an HVAC company rep. He immediately made her uncomfortable, intense, staring, overly personal questions. She lied about having a boyfriend, where she lived, trying to deter him.
Using lies as a defense mechanism because direct confrontation feels unsafe or too difficult. That's common when someone feels intimidated.
While she worked, Andrew physically assaulted her, massaged her shoulders even though she stiffened up completely.
Unwanted physical contact, especially for someone uncomfortable with touch. That's a major violation right there.
Weeks later, he publicly objectified her, loudly called her cute, pretty, sexy, smart in the hospital hallways, embarrassing her in front of colleagues, said he wanted to date her.
Public humiliation as a form of control. Isolating her, making her feel ashamed.
Then came the terrifying tunnel chase. After hours, Andrew pursued her through an empty underground tunnel, calling her name. She ran, hid in a network hub closet, locked herself in as he tried doorknobs, yelling for her.
That escalation from public harassment to private physical pursuit. It's a clear pattern of predatory behavior aiming to dominate and terrify.
Months later, she's working alone in a secluded part of the hospital. Andrew cornered her, grabbed her, pinned her against a wall, and grouped her.
Oh God. Direct physical and sexual assault.
He whispered, "Normal girls like it when guys want them," while she screamed, "No!"
That twisted justification. Blaming the victim, trying to normalize assault. Disgusting.
She fought back, kneed him hard in the groin, locked herself in a room with no way to call for help, just listening to him pound on the door and scream insults.
She defended herself. Good for her. But being trapped like that?
She reported everything to HR. But Andrew wasn't fired. He was merely transferred to some other client site and told to stay away.
Transferred. Not fired. After assault.
Nope. The narrator still saw him daily around the hospital. She suffered stress-related health problems and eventually quit because the environment was unsafe and she had zero support.
That's institutional failure bordering on complicity. When an organization fails to act decisively against reported assault, how does that impact the victim's long-term well-being and trust? It's a massive failure.
Truly awful. Okay, penultimate story. Takes us to an amusement park arcade, a place of fun, right? But it became the backdrop for persistent, unnerving stalking.
Even places meant for enjoyment aren't immune.
An 18-year-old narrator working as a ride attendant had a normal interaction with two kids on a roller coaster. Later, a man, presumably with the kids, approached her at a gem mining station, looked her up and down, and bluntly asked, "Do you think I can see you later tonight?" She said no.
Straight into a sexual proposition at her workplace. Zero respect for boundaries. That's an immediate red flag.
He then showed up at her next ride. As she scanned wristbands, he leaned in and told her, "Of course I'll do anything for you, whatever you want."
Ugh. Inappropriate, suggestive comments. Continuing to push after being rejected.
On the ride, he just stared intently at her. The youngest child wanted to ride again, so she had to let them. Towards the end of that second ride, he lifted his lap bar and placed his hand in his pants, making his crotch noticeable.
Whoa. Okay, that's public indecent exposure. A deliberate act to shock, intimidate, and violate her sense of safety at work. That's a serious escalation.
She reported it to her supervisor, but the man reappeared later. She was alone, taking cardboard to the dumpster, and he started walking purposefully towards her. She panicked, thought she was about to be kidnapped.
That feeling of immediate danger, her fear was completely justified given his behavior.
Thankfully, her supervisor saw it unfolding from afar, intervened quickly, speed-walked past the man, and made sure the narrator wasn't left alone.
That's great supervisor awareness in action. Supportive colleagues can make a huge difference in these situations.
Definitely. But even after the park closed, the man's car was still in the empty parking lot with his family inside. He was just sitting there, staring.
Still there, lingering. That creates such a final, unsettling feeling. The narrator suspected his family might be complicit in him just waiting there. It shows the insidious nature of stalking, doesn't it? Persisting, despite rejection, despite intervention, turning work into a place of constant fear.
Yeah. Okay, our final story. This one ventures into the digital realm. A different kind of invasion, identity theft, online obsession. Proving danger isn't always physical.
Digital stalking, catfishing.
Yeah.
It's a pervasive threat today, and the impact can be just as terrifying.
The narrator, a photographer, discovered someone had created an Instagram account using screenshots of her photos. They used a Russianized version of her name and had built up a significant following.
Just stealing her identity wholesale.
And it wasn't just one account. She started getting messages from numerous Russian accounts, showing her other fake profiles, pretending to be her across Twitter, YouTube, VK, Facebook, everywhere.
Wow, a whole network of fake identities based on her. That's extensive.
But the truly disturbing discovery. One fake profile featured a photo of her as a baby with her mom, a photo that was only accessible from her mom's private Facebook account.
Okay, that is deeply chilling. That implies someone breached private accounts or it's someone known to the family. It's not random. It's targeted, sophisticated intrusion.
Exactly. In a weird online chat with one of the catfishes, the person admitted using her photos because they were self-conscious. They'd even shown the pictures to their own family, pretending it was them.
The psychology behind that is complex, but it doesn't excuse the harm caused by the identity theft and stalking.
The situation escalated. Attempts to change her actual Instagram password started coming from Russia. This digital stalking continued sporadically for 3 years. One account was even created using her actual name.
3 years of this. Constantly feeling watched online.
She felt watched, desperate, even considered calling the Catfish TV show producers. But she couldn't involve the police because there were no direct threats, no immediate physical danger. She says the ordeal probably never will end.
And that raises that important question. How do we define and address harm when it's entirely digital? It impacts identity, security, causes immense psychological distress, but often falls outside traditional legal definitions of danger. Victims are left feeling helpless.
It's a huge gap. So these stories, each one uniquely terrifying, they really paint a vivid picture, don't they? The relentless nature of obsession, the subtle ways inappropriate behavior escalates, and just the profound impact of feeling truly unsafe, whether it's from family, strangers, colleagues, or online.
Definitely. And what's fascinating or maybe disturbing is how often the victims sense something is wrong early on, that gut feeling, yet their concerns might get dismissed. Or they themselves struggle to confront it maybe because of politeness, social conditioning, or just plain fear.
Trusting that instinct seems like a recurring lesson here.
Absolutely. From the child warned about her aunt to the woman battling a digital doppelganger online, these narratives hammer home the need to be vigilant, trust your gut, and recognize that real horror can emerge from the most unexpected places.
It makes you wonder about prevention. Empowering people to speak up seems key, but also having systems, whether it's HR, family, or friends, that actually listen and act.
Right, which leads to that bigger question for all of us, really. How can we collectively foster environments, online and offline, where people feel genuinely empowered and supported to challenge unsettling behavior? How do we make sure those initial uneasy feelings don't spiral into irreversible trauma? It's about building a culture where safety isn't just assumed, but actively protected.
A crucial thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into these unsettling accounts. If these stories resonated with you and you want to keep exploring the darker corners of human experience, please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docx. We'll be back soon with more chilling revelations.
Until then, stay safe out there and remember to always stay aware of your surroundings.